Alright, guys, this is. Sorry, I'm already prefacing this with I'm sick, so that was the cough. But this is number 3 for Harry Potter, and we're going to be reviewing it today. Or tonight, I should say. So I have my trusty IMDb open, as I always do, and we're going to be doing a more full review because this is a more important movie and a better movie. Not to diminish the first two, but this is a great film. Also, today I actually finished watching the whole series. I finished the last one, number 8. And I... sorry. And I rated and ranked all the movies. And I will get to that in the last review I do of these films. So, the most unique thing about this film, in terms of its production, I would say, is the director. For this film, they famously kind of went outside Chris Columbus and David Yates, who did most of the movies, and they went to a man named Alfonso Cuarón, who's actually a really good director. He's done a lot of stuff. He's done Children of Men. He's done Gravity. And he did one other one that's very highly acclaimed that I haven't seen. I don't remember what it was called. I don't see it here. But Children of Men is his main film, other than this one. And I saw that movie, and I may have actually done a review on it on this channel. I don't remember. But really solid. I would say it's a great film as well. Although I do like Prisoner of Azkaban better. It's even directed better, in my opinion. But this is the best part of this film. So I'll get into that first, and we'll probably end with that. But the direction in this film, from everything from the music to the use of transitions to the use of like seasons to demark the time and everything else. It was the most unique Harry Potter film in terms of how it was shot. And I really wish they kept this guy for a few more movies. I think he was really fantastic. And I think if they had him for Goblet of Fire, that movie would have been even better. Because while that movie has a really great story, the direction, while good, is not great. Like this one really had a unique style that I really appreciated. So yeah, so this movie starts, and I'll do the plot synopsis. So it says, Uncle Vernon's sister Marge comes to visit and treats Harry with general contempt. So this scene basically reinforces that Harry has like no family that loves him, and this like fat woman comes over and she starts insulting him and like saying like, oh, his parents were like drunks, and the reason he's a misfit is because like his father was a bum. And then he was like, no, it's not his father, it's actually his mother. And then basically Harry has like a fit and accidentally uses magic on her, and she starts inflating. And this is a really good scene. The direction in this scene is really good. The use of sound and the effects are really good. It doesn't even look like CGI. But the use of sound is so funny and energizing. And so she floats out and goes out in the sky, and she disappears. So Harry runs away from home. He's kind of like overwhelmed and has to leave. And he sits down at a bus stop, and he sees this growling black dog who's about to pounce on him in the bushes. But then out of nowhere, a bus called the Night Bus comes along, and it's for lost witches and wizards. He basically gets in to this night bus and goes to the Leaky Cauldron, which is the pub at Diagon Alley. And while there, he learns that Sirius Black, an alleged supporter of Voldemort, the Dark Wizard, has escaped from Azkaban, and he's like the only guy that ever did it. Harry, so I love this. This like sets up such a good like tension and plot device through the whole film. It's like this specter of not only Sirius Black, but this dog, which we'll get into later. And while he's at the Leaky Cauldron, he meets with Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, and he fears he's going to be expelled for using magic outside school, but the minister explains that no, it's fine, and they'll deflate his aunt and wipe her memory of anything that happened. While at the Leaky Cauldron, Harry reconvenes with Ron and Hermione and the rest of the Weasley family. And Arthur Weasley, Ron's dad, pulls him aside and warns him about Sirius Black. And he believes that Harry's the only thing that stands in the way of Voldemort returning, so Sirius has escaped to kill Harry. So this sets up the basic reason why Sirius wants Harry. And then as we go through the movie, more is revealed. In classic J.K. Rowling style, she really likes to basically tease and deceive the audience and like trick them a lot. And there's usually like a big reveal at the end for a lot of her plot lines that you don't expect. And this one is very clever as usual. So Harry, Ron, and Hermione board the train to Hogwarts. In their compartment is a sleeping Professor Remus Lupin. So I would say this is when the direction really gets really good in this film. And full disclosure, the direction is not topped at any other film. That's why I wish they really kept this guy. He really thrived here. So the train is stopped and the lights go out. And the train is like rocked back and forth, and all of a sudden ice is creeping over the windows. It's getting super cold, and then a dark creature approaches and starts like this sounds so sus. So it says it opens the door to the cabin and begins frighteningly with Harry sucking at his whole body. The teacher suddenly awakes, standing up, and repels the creature with a very bright light, and Harry hears like a scream, a woman screaming, before he blacks out. And when he wakes up, he explains that this is called a Dementor, which basically drains your happiness. They're basically prison guards of Azkaban, and they're searching for Sirius all over Hogwarts because they know he's probably going to go after Harry. And basically, yeah. So then you have this amazing transition where Harry is looking at the glass and it zooms in, and then it goes into these carriages that are driven by themselves going to Hogwarts in the rain. It's really beautiful with some great music. And Harry begins his third year at Hogwarts. Rubeus Hagrid, the groundsman, has become a professor for care of magical creatures, and Hermione seems to be taking twice as many classes as everyone else, including some that are taught simultaneously. So this is a bit of a mystery how she's able to do that. During a divination class, Professor Trelawney foresees Harry's death in the leaves of a cup, so tea leaves, which takes the form of Grim, or a large dog. So back again, that's that dog he saw. I'm so sorry, I'm coughing. I really hate this, but I really want to do these videos. Got nothing better to do. In Hagrid's first class, Draco Malfoy deliberately provokes Buckbeak, who's a hippogriff, into attacking him, and Draco's father, Lucius Malfoy, a powerful Ministry of Magic member of staff, files an official complaint. And in the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, Professor Lupin instructs the class to defeat a boggart, which changes its form to one's greatest fear. When Harry steps up, it becomes a Dementor. Another thing that happens in this scene is Lupin accidentally steps in front of the boggart and it becomes a full moon. So that's another mystery about why that happened. Then this is like the part where the film heats up. Sirius Black destroys the painting of the fat lady who lets the kids into their common room at Gryffindor. And she says, like, yep, Sirius Black has infiltrated the castle. So Dementors patrol Hogwarts. And Snape becomes the professor, a substitute professor for Lupin at Defense Against the Dark Arts, which he basically teaches the class on werewolves and says, particular emphasis on spotting one. During the next school Quidditch match, a popular wizard sport, several Dementors approach and try to engage their powers. Harry falls and faints, falling probably like 1,000 feet or something, a couple hundred feet. And basically, Harry's broom is destroyed, but Harry needs to learn how to defend himself, so Professor Lupin decides to teach him how to use a Patronus charm. At the time of the next school outing, so the next season, he's still keen to go to Hogsmeade, but Harry attempts to sneak to the village under his invisibility cloak, but Fred and George give him the Marauder's map, which is a map of the entire school and shows real-time locations of everyone on the ground. So he goes to Hogsmeade under his invisibility cloak, and Tails, Minister of Magic Cornelius Fudge, and Minerva McGonagall, Professor McGonagall, chatting in the street. He follows them, goes inside, and basically he's shocked to learn that Sirius Black was his parents' best friend and was named his godfather before their death and his legal guardian. And Black supposedly divulged the Potters' secret whereabouts to Lord Voldemort and murdered their friend Peter Pettigrew, as well as 12 Muggle bystanders. Harry vows to kill Black. And basically all they found of Peter Pettigrew was his finger. So, like, Sirius Black blew him up. On returning from the outing, we find out that Hagrid, as a consequence of Lucius Malfoy's complaint, has been sentenced to death. Buckbeak has been sentenced to death. That same night, after hours, Harry is astonished when he sees Peter Pettigrew's name, so the guy that supposedly died from Sirius Black, walking around the castle on the Marauder's map. He goes looking for him but can't find him. And there's a great scene in a hallway where Peter Pettigrew's standing right next to him, but he can't see him. And Lupin starts teaching about the Dementors, and he basically gets to learn how to use that spell, which is quite advanced magic. When Harry, Ron, and Hermione learn Buckbeak is to be executed, they visit Hagrid at his hut. Hagrid has also found Ron's lost rat, Scabbers, and returns him to Ron. Ron had wrongly believed that his cat had been eaten. I'm so sorry, I'm messing this up. That his rat had been eaten by Hermione's cat. I'm sorry, my voice is so messed up right now. After the execution party approaches the hut, stones fly in the window, and they leave back to the edge of the castle, watching the execution from afar. Scabbers bites Ron, who chases after him, finally collecting him under the Whomping Willow. And then all of a sudden, the Grim, this prophesized thing at the beginning of the movie that Harry Potter had an omen of death, the Grim, the black dog, comes up behind them and bites Ron's leg, dragging him underneath the tree into a tunnel. Ron and Hermione follow, and the tunnel leads to the Shrieking Shack. Inside, Harry finally confronts Sirius Black. As an illegal animagus, Sirius Black can transform into any animal at will. He is also the infamous Black Dog. So it's like the Omen of Death, the Grim, and Sirius Black, who's trying to kill Harry, are the same person. Professor Lupin comes in, having traced them or tailed them here, and bursts in and embraces his old friend Sirius. Hermione confronts him, saying that she knew he was a werewolf. And Lupin and Black then explain that Black is not the one who betrayed the Potters. It was Peter Pettigrew, who had been hiding for 12 years in his animagus form as Scabbers, Ron's rat. And he is Voldemort's servant, not Black. And he framed Black for his crimes. The rat's also missing a toe. Like, Pettigrew, all they found of him was his finger. And he's also lived for 12 years, which is longer than most rats live. Meanwhile, Snape bursts in, always doing his duty to protect Harry as he has been for all these films. And he confronts Black, but Harry uses a disarming spell on him. Harry is skeptical, but until Black and Lupin force Pettigrew back into his human form, after some resistance, Pettigrew confesses that it's true. Black, on discovering that Pettigrew is still alive, escapes Azkaban in order to kill him. As the group heads back to the castle, the full moon rises, and this is basically where everything goes to hell. Lupin turns into a werewolf and starts attacking Sirius and Harry. And Black turns into a black dog to protect Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Pettigrew transforms himself into a rat and escapes again. Or escapes for the first time, really. Harry runs forward in his angst at Sirius's torture at the hands of the werewolf, inadvertently attracting his attention, but out of nowhere, there's a distant cry of a werewolf. So Lupin runs towards that. Meanwhile, oh God, I'm so sorry. I've been struggling with this for about a week or so, but I'm just glad my throat's not hurting anymore. Okay. Sirius is badly injured. He moves down by the nearby lake, and Harry follows and kneels over him. And as he does, a swarm of Dementors approaches him. Harry produces a Patronus, but it's not strong enough to get rid of them all. And they begin, sucking their soul, so to speak. Then on the other side of the river appears the brilliant symbol of a stag, an immense Patronus which drives all these hundreds of Dementors away, and Harry faints. Harry awakens in the hospital. I'm sorry. My throat. Harry awakens in the hospital waiting to hear the news that Sirius Black has been captured. And is about to be given the Dementor's kiss to suck out his soul and kill him, which is supposed to be very painful. And Dumbledore enters, and Ron and Hermione convince him of Black's innocence, but Dumbledore already knows, saying that their word alone won't be believed. He suggests mysteriously that Harry and Hermione time travel back in time by using a time turner device, which now is the reveal for how she's been attending multiple classes. And they can save both Sirius Black and Buckbeak from their fates. Hermione turns her hourglass three hours back. And Harry and Hermione are thrust in the past. And they basically all these weird things that happen, like throwing stones at the back of their head to get them to leave the hut, happen. And they rescue Buckbeak. And basically the werewolf cry that Lupin hears was Hermione. And Harry, who originally thought his father cast the Patronus, even though his father's dead, he thought he saw his father saving them with the stag Patronus. He steps up and casts the Patronus and does a very powerful one. So it's sort of a lesson about believing in yourself. And they go save Sirius, who basically says, like, yeah, like, you can live with me, and all this stuff. And it's always Harry's hope to, have a family and, like, be loved. And so, yeah, so Sirius becomes his hope. As the school year approaches, Lupin announces that he is resigning. Believing that the parents of the students would not be comfortable in open knowledge that he is a werewolf, he returns the Marauder's map to Harry as he's no longer a professor. Harry later receives a gift from an unknown source, the firebolt, the fastest racing broom. It was from Sirius. He gave him the broom. It's not an unknown source. So yeah, I'm very sorry my review is so shitty, but I'll tell you some things I really like about this movie. Okay, so basically, for a Harry Potter movie, it has a very unique structure with the time turner. Sort of like reliving or living the whole plot and like it not going well, and then sort of going back a few hours and saving a few lives is very clever and fun to watch and piece it together in your head. And also things like that don't make sense immediately to you and seem like plot conveniences or plot holes are actually quite clever, because when I first watched it, I was like, hold on, this doesn't make sense, because, the stones are thrown at the back of their head because it's from the future, and it's, it's like time makes a loop. So that happened. But then I was like, how did Buckbeak get executed if they threw the stones at the back of their head? But when you watch it back, when they watch Buckbeak's execution, it's not him swinging the axe at his head. It's him, the executioner, swinging the axe at a pumpkin. You just think Buckbeak is executed. So it's I'm doing a really bad job at this. It's a really clever linear, no, not linear, but sort of circular time loop, and it's a really sweet story. And it sort of gives Harry this hope that he could one day have a father/family. And, yeah. The only problem with this movie is that the time turners, like, are kind of bad for the universe, because you can say, like, why doesn't Voldemort use them? And, like, she never brought them up again. But you can, like, make in-universe excuses for them. Like, maybe there's only a few in existence, and, like, maybe one is used for the Hogwarts school, one is controlled by the Ministry of Magic. Maybe, like, you can only go back a few hours. Maybe there's huge consequences if you do something wrong. Obviously creates some problems, but overall, a great film that I kind of butchered with my voice and my inability to talk. I'm praying for the Goblet of Fire I'll be better. I'm gonna really, really hope for it. But a really amazing movie, great acting, special direction, best Harry Potter direction. This is my second favorite one. And just a really good story where she does her thing, where she deceives the audience and makes you think one thing and then twists it and turns it and kind of wraps it all in a nice bow, which is the Harry Potter story. She does it multiple times and she gets you every time. The greatest one was Snape, and we'll get to that. He was one of the greatest characters ever, for sure. I really enjoyed watching the last one. I have a lot to say about it, and I'm gonna try to get those done. Like maybe in a day or two, I'll do them all. But I'm really, really hoping that tomorrow and the day after my voice is better. Yeah, accept my apology. I don't like screwing up like this. What else can I say about this movie? There's some things from the book that aren't explained, like that the map was made by Sirius Black, Peter Pettigrew, James Potter, and Professor Lupin. They were 4 friends in school. It's their map, stuff like that. Other than that, I don't know. It was pretty accurate to the book. It's just really all around great film. I rate this film, to talk about what I rated it, a 9.4 out of 10. Really great. It has a 7.9 on IMDb, which can be... IMDb, the rule is like add 1 to the score, and that's like what it would be kind of on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's like a 89%. It's quite high. And in terms of how it ranks against other films, it has the second highest rating of any Harry Potter film on IMDb. Of course, Deathly Hallows Part 2 is number 1, which it was like a genuinely... I mean, I always knew it's a special movie because I've watched it, probably like 4 or 5 times in my life. But just watching it again, it was so beautiful, It's like you never know what you have until it's gone. And when you haven't watched something in a while and you re-experience it, and you remember how great it is. It's just really special. But like I said, the direction is not as good as Azkaban. Azkaban is it's unique. It's like special. I would say, to the first film's credit, it nails like the style so well. I've talked about this before, that with directors, I really like when they're overly unique and stylized. Thinking of Kubrick, very obvious when you watch his directing, his movies. Very obvious who made them, especially like his films past 2001. Quentin Tarantino, super stylized. People that are not stylized, like Spielberg. You couldn't tell Spielberg made Indiana Jones. As good as they are, no clue it's from him. But Prisoner of Azkaban, very stylized, very heavy on like transitions, use of music, very unique, very like kind of magical. And then that first film, sort of establishing the style of Harry Potter, was very impressive to me. I thought they like kind of made their own way of making a movie about magic, I guess. And while the rest of the movies are directed well, competently, especially the last one's very good, none come close to number 3, which is Prisoner of Azkaban. So big credit to Alfonso Cuarón. He was legitimately a very good director. He's been kind of lauded for his work. What else can we say about this? I don't want to waste too much of your time here, especially when my voice is like this. Okay, let me think. Oh, yeah, you gotta talk about Gary Oldman's performance, Sirius Black. This guy, I don't know why, but I always like love him in any movie he's in. Obviously a great actor, but it's more than that. Like, I like him as a person. I like Commissioner Gordon. For some reason, like, I've never really heard anyone like say like, "Oh, I love Commissioner Gordon and I really like Gary Oldman's performance," but I really do enjoy him in those movies. I think he's like really a good character and really likable. And same with Sirius Black. I feel like Gary Oldman really brought him to life with like the terrifying aspect in the in the beginning, and then like the sort of wise father to Harry. Um, so huge credit to Gary Oldman. I think one of our greatest actors in our time. All right, but I think that's all for number 3. We're on number 4. We're halfway there after next time. All right, guys. Thank you for dealing with me. Saucy Boy out.